Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to our first community race since our last tournament. Community race is a time where we've got a big group playing all sorts of different seeds. This week, we're featuring Ladder Standard. Super excited about this one, and I'm joined in the booth here by Possum Orpheus. Possum, how you doing?
I am so happy to be done with work and be here and get to enjoy the rest of my evening with some awesome members of the community doing this race for us. Some awesome folks behind the scenes in Scala Kitty, as well as Dubward, and one particularly awesome person in the booth beside me who was really part and parcel in coming up with these flags and getting so much involvement back in the ladder, and that is one Solaris. That's you.
It's the person over there, right? Oh, okay, yeah, no, that is me. Thank you for that. Ladder, I really like Ladder. I like the idea of, so Ladder is our, we've got a different Discord for it, and it's where you get to play one-on-one against another opponent, sort of in your skill rank. Now, we're a bit of a smaller community, so within skill rank it could take a little time for that to happen, but it's just like, and it's all automated. Like, I'm lazy, so it does it for me. Like, it just tells me a race is going to happen, and all I have to do is join it. I really like the idea of that system, and it needed some help, and everyone pulled together resources, feedback, to come up with these flags, first of all, and the schedule that we've got going. And yeah, it's all, I think, super, super exciting.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And speaking of exciting, maybe I'm boring, but this is exciting to me. I see 3 objectives gated by 1 key item, and that is everyone's favorite Darkness Crystal. We have the Vanilla Ribbon, the Vanilla Murasame Altar, and the Giant of Babel. That is 3 of our 4 required objectives that are going to be gated by 1 key item. So Sealed Cave and Pan are the other 2. So realistically, you can get away with as few as, 3 key items on this seed?
Yeah, so let's talk flags for a second here. It is 5 random tough quests, and 5 random tough quests can roll all sorts of different ways. Tonight it's rolled a lot of moon stuff, and it's 4 of 5. The other major wrinkle runners are going to have to contend with is the C maybe flag, which means that for every character, normally a seed guarantees all 12 characters will be available somewhere in the seed. I mean, you might not get them because they're on the giant, might be one of the 12, whatever, but C maybe just says, yeah, no, I'm not going to worry about that. Every place I roll, it could be anything. How it tends to play out is like C distinct, like 7 or 8, but the short of it is that we could see a whole lot of one character show up very early. So a lot of the same character and kind of a looming go mode are the 2 things I think looming over runners' heads right now.
So I'll just ask you the next question on my list here. We have a starting Kane here. Kane loves gear, and this is T Wildish on these flags. Are you heading straight to Castle Eblin here? Are you going Watery Pass? Is it really dependent on your second character that shows up? What's kind of your thoughts on T Wildish with a Kane?
T Wildish and Castle Eblin just go together so well, especially with a Kane. Castle Eblin is weighted and has a chest density that is just really nice for the variety of gear that Kane can get. Kane can wear axes, there are some decent spears in there, any of the strength boosting gear, honestly even heavy armor, all sorts of really nice things to find there. It does kind of depend on the second character. Let's say we get a Tella, then we can run over to Watery Pass because we have exit with Tella. Let's say we start with a Sand Ruby, that might entice some runners to go to Watery Pass because it's in proximity to Kaipo where you can turn the Sand Ruby in. So it is contextual to the start, but Eblin's definitely the main place I'm thinking about.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of the things that I personally love to do on T Wildish, not only because you can find great gear, but also because even if you find bad gear, it sells for money. And then you can go buy the things you need anyway, because S Standard is on. That's another big thing here. S Standard means that at any of our gated shops, you can find things like sirens, hourglasses, coffins. But even on the overworld, you could buy mute knives, you can buy long swords, you can buy cursed rings, you can find cabins, cure 3s, lots of different stuff that even if you can't loot your way to victory, you can buy your way to victory. It'll be expensive, but you can do it. And then the last thing I really want to point out here, one of the big changes for folks who have been watching a lot of tournament races recently, the back row glitch is back on. And as we get started, that could be huge with not one, but two characters that really love a back row glitch in this Edge and this Kane. And hey, we have a Spoon, so maybe an Eddie is on the way as well.
We start with a Spoon. We're also starting with a Vampire and an Hourglass 3. If any of our runners are cheeky enough, and depending on the loot that's found within Castle Eblin, someone might actually try one of those trap chests. It would be a very risky play, but the starting kit did give us kind of the stuff we need to kill an encounter that can be frozen with an Hourglass. We'll see where our runners want to go immediately, though.
Yeah, and it looks like we are getting some Eblin from some of our runners and some free key item and Troya checks from others. No demist on this flag set, so there is a free key item hanging around. So it'll be interesting to see what our runners prioritize and where they want to go and what they want to do. But it seems like we have a 3-to-1 split on Troya versus Eblin. And oh hey, how about basically a starting Earth Crystal? I guess Eblin was not the play.
Yeah, this is always the fear about, and I didn't think about this because I wasn't really thinking about the free key item. This is the one fear of not running immediately. Chat, we're gonna immediately play our favorite game here. It's Rate That Treasury.
Rate That Treasury!
All right, so Defense Sword, Avenger, we're done.
12 out of 10. Yep, Avenger, Full Moon, Longsword, 12 out of 10.
Oh my god.
Yep, GG.
I mean, Mike is gonna be so sorry.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that he ran to Eblin.
It's super defensible. It's just the ultimate feels bad moment because you're not going to have an Avenger at the 2-minute mark that everyone else has, which means you are behind from the 2-minute mark. And there's just no other way to go other than to think, I feel behind. Now, maybe that causes some sort of wild divergence for Mike, but for the rest of our runners, Fried Potato, Judge Joe, Funnel Cakes, they're all feeling great having that Avenger right away.
Yeah, feeling so great that Judge Joe says, you know what? I have an Avenger. I'm just running up Zot, like, right now. I have an Avenger. I have a Full Moon. Like, I'm ready to party.
I honestly don't hate it because if you find the one thing better than an Avenger Kane early on in a seed, and that is Fusoya, you are pressing this early advantage and you are coming out even further ahead. It's fairly gambling, but in a community race, you're going to have to do something a little different to win. And this could be that type of play.
Absolutely, and okay. My brain saw Demas and was like, wait, no Demas hunt this flex set. Funnel Cake showing us Dark Knight Cecil on Hobbs, something that made him reset. I just missed what that boss was.
I wonder if he had the Avenger on.
Oh, it was Sid. It was flipped. My brain was flipped. Okay, DKC is the boss with the Sid character. So yeah, I needed a better setup to survive this, maybe? Oh, but you just win it. Oh, okay, I don't know. I missed what happened there.
I will say, there's a Twin Heart from Antline. Fried Potato showing us a key item that exists. Our runners are oddly set up to take it on right now with the Avenger, for those who have the Avenger anyway. As well as double Longsword or Longsword Full Moon Edge. the Twin Harp is actually doable right now, which is a pretty different thing to think about. Meanwhile, Judge Joe also deciding to take on the Flame Dog chest, gets a Leviathan summon, a little bit of early XP, but really not the type of reward you would want to see there.
No, but I love the gamble. You're right here. Very, very, very early game. There are a great number of things that you could find that would be pretty good hits for this team from a trap chest as well. And something I want to say about while Fried Potato takes on the Fabul Gauntlet, finds a CPU. Kane is so fast with an Avenger that this actually shouldn't matter, but he might be sweating like just a little bit. The Firebomb is very clever. That'll take out the little orbs so that the Avenger can just clean up.
Especially if the wall is queued. The wall wasn't queued though. This is dangerous. Because now you need 2, maybe 3
the orbs came
hits.
out now.
Yeah, gets there barely, so good enough. But that's a scary thing, is if that Firebomb is not timed correctly and the wall doesn't get queued, it immediately goes for globes, and then you can be left in a really awkward situation. But Fried Potato gets through it and is rewarded with, well, our runner's second full moon.
I mean, you're never mad to see it. You might be a little annoyed, like, I could have faded this, but it's a decent reward. Now, I want to go back to Judge Joe for a second. So we found Karate. Karate not dealing really enough damage, it looks like, for Joe to be concerned. What I love about Joe's play, this is a flag set that has T Wildish on it, and so can be kinder for runners that are newer to the game in a lot of scenarios. But one way that you can take a game that's got a low floor to entry but has a high skill ceilings to say, I'm going to take this early game amazing loot, I'm going to go do something very difficult with it. And I love that you can do that in this randomizer.
Yeah, and the Tower of Zot is not a check to be trifled with. This is 9,000 health here, and Karate is kind of sketchy to fight when you basically have a base level Kane and base level Edge, but Joe is through. If there is a Fu Soya here, this is an absolutely unbelievable reward for Joe early on here. Even if it's a Cecil to play cover tank, a Rosa, a Porum, a Palom, there's a lot of good hits early on here. I think Fusoya obviously would be the best, but we'll see what Joe presents us with. A second Kane, that's probably not what you want to see, but that Evil Wall at Dwarf 2, it's always good to have Evil Wall off the table.
Yeah, it'll also be, so we'll get one second character, and there is a chance that Zod is our underground access, and it'll route nicely because I imagine Joe, after being done with Zod, you get dropped off in front of Baron, he'll be able to do Baron Id right afterwards. And there's our Cecil, only a Dark Knight at the moment, but one of the better characters in this, really any flag set. Cecil's amazing.
Yeah, definitely. And we do see all 4 runners now have the Avenger. So Mike has gotten a parity on the loot there. Potato, meanwhile, showing us a Legend Sword from Baron Inn. Not really much in, that's going to do anything for the runners right now. You'd need the Adamant Rock to get the Excal for Cecil. But, it's another key item. Frat Potato is up to 4 already, which does give him a slight check advantage. But we'll see what Joe gets out of this Tower of Zot, and see maybe if there's a rude boss up here as well. And there is a Baigen, which I would classify as a rude boss.
It's especially rude because the Avenger, really Berserk in general, doesn't like multiple targets because you're basically rolling dice on anything that you hit, and the arms love to be targets for damage when really you need to be hitting that main body.
There is one interesting thing about Baigen, though, that doesn't make it as detrimental, and that is that the body and the first arm in front are both considered in the front row. Only the back arm is considered back row, so the Avenger actually has 2/3 of a chance to hit well here for a non-back row Kane. Really weird part of Baigen. Don't know why it works that way, but it's how it works.
Yeah, I imagine it has to do with just the way the formation is laid out, and it's pretty important too because if the body were to have the back row defense, or really it's evasion, I believe, this would be a lot more difficult. But yeah, we see we see the Avenger going after those arms, and it's kind of nice because Bagan has to take a moment to revive the arms, but it's just extending this fight. But Joe managed to get through it really without too much difficulty.
Yeah, and meanwhile we see Potato giving us some new information. Well, that's a really bad fight to be fast anchored for.
God.
These numbers are going to be at like 5 before he even gets into action. I'm sorry, 4, maybe
more like
3.
Yeah, more like 3. And you're going to swing once, and they're going to go to 1. Thankfully, he's got a full moon, but no,
You're just done.
Running won't do it. No.
Yeah, arguably, when you are fast anchored, the worst possible boss to find, because it's the only thing that's going to kill you.
Yeah, and Potato did a play that's close to my heart. The aggression of just yellow swagging that back attack. Got to go through Dark Elf again.
Yeah, with that party, I wouldn't be saving either. I would 100% be dying there. So I definitely feel for Potato.
I have been the person that has died there many times. That's why I know that count goes to 3 before you do anything. And you can do that fight, but now that I've done it so long, I just reset it because you're just spending so much time cycling life potions. It's really, really hard to, like, you're like in quicksand, basically.
Yeah. Meanwhile, we have Funnel Cakes making the people's play, if you will. Is currently on his way with his hand axe Sid, and his poison axe Sid, and his other bit of goof troop there. But he's on his way to the Twin Harp, which is an aggressive play of its own this early on.
An aggressive play. It's a community-loving play. That means we'll get to hear music rather shortly. So I'm a big fan of it. I'll also point out that I believe Zot was possibly our underground access, as Joe now has a hook.
I mean, I for one am here for it, because that means we likely get to have a longer seed and talk a little bit more about Free Enterprise. A magma key to like a pan from the Feymarch to the Darkness Crystal. I mean, it'd still be fun for Panic, but I'm happy to see that hook.
Me too. And speaking about talking about Free Enterprise, I want to do this a few times in this race while I have just the briefest of moments while Fried Potato is going to get his non-ordeals reward here. If you like what you're watching, this is a ladder standard flag set. We have a ladder. It exists. It's a different Discord where you can play 1v1 on this flag set and others. And if you're interested in doing that, we have a lot of activity this season. If you've seen it before, past seasons might not have been as so active. This season, tons of people are playing, so definitely come check us out if you're interested. And for the moment now, though, we're going to get some music.
This is where we talk, right?
I think this is where we die if we talk.
Oh. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Solaris, I'm so happy.
Oh my god, what was that?
So, Endless Stairs from from Calamity decided to put that one in the pool, and hey, there's our darkness
Oh
crystal
my
from the Twin Heart.
god.
So
We have no
it is
mode.
required.
We have no mode. Fried Potato got the Luca key out of Mon Ordeals, and Joe has a hook, which is our underground access from Zod. We have no mode already.
Fantastic. 4x required Endless Stairs. I'm pleased. So the whole meme, just by the way, everyone, for the
Horrified.
poison stairs thing, is you combine poison walking in this game with the Endless Stairs, and it takes it from like level 7 anxiety to level 12. So anyway, that's why Scala won't let me put that song in the pool. We'll continue on with the seed note though, and maybe get some more music from Fried Potato. Maybe.
I think there might be an executive decision.
I think there was.
That not happening. Sorry, chat. I mean, you're welcome, chat. It's probably more of a welcome than sorry. Oh, okay, we might get it for a few seconds.
But I think we can safely talk about everyone going to be doing all of the things on the overworld here. The interesting thing is going to be, in Funnel Cake's situation, is there ever a situation where you try to get really cheeky on the moon, having that darkness crystal right away? That would be hyper aggressive.
You would need some way to get levels, at least a little bit, and normally Televa would facilitate that with a D machine. You could also take the 1 hour glass that you started with and take on maybe like the hair dryer's trap, but like that is so sketchy. It's unlikely to happen. Another thing that could happen, well, if sirens are in the moon shop, you might have an opportunity to take like warlocks, for instance. Like there's some ways to make it work. It's just highly doubtful.
Yeah, and especially like in Potato's case, he's going to figure out shortly that I believe he's going to be out of checks, right? This is going to give him the darkness crystal, and he'll know that the underground access is through Zod.
Yep.
So he'll, I believe, be our first runner to have access to everything that he needs to, air quotes, complete the seed. But it'll be interesting because this is going to be a foot race, and it'll be a matter of who can execute in a jet better. An air quote jet, with there being 3 lunar objectives and a required hook route.
And something we didn't mention earlier are these 4 runners in particular are some of our ladder regulars at the moment, and so they're all pretty familiar with this flag set already and what it can do and the jettiness that it could provide. And Potato in particular, a very prolific ladder runner who I believe is on record of saying that he loves jet seeds. So I'm looking forward to kind of how he decides to, finish routing this out.
Yeah, absolutely. And like right now, I want to say that these 4 runners, all of them are in, I think, the top 10 or were at some point in the top 10 on the ladder this season. So they've all been doing incredibly well on the ladder. I know that Joe is ahead of me on the ladder right now, and I think Funnel Kicks might be as well. I know that Potato has been putting up a heck of a fight repeatedly this season, but his arch nemesis on the ladder, Flurry, has gotten the better of him this season after Potato got the better of Flurry last season. But always exciting stuff on the ladder to watch. So, definitely would recommend, if you like what you're seeing, to what Solaris has said earlier, there's always a lot more of it to watch.
Yep, and if I will say one more thing about ladder, if you are, we did lighten up one rule. If streaming is, and I will highlight this, I'll call this out. If streaming is too stressful to you for a moment, or if there's any reason that local recording would be more comfortable for you as a runner, we have enabled as a rule this season, kind of a provisional rule. If you want to run in the ladder, normally streaming is required, but if you can provide us a local recording immediately after your match, is the best way to do it. To upload, there's a form to do it in our Discord. Then that's also an option for you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something that I know that myself and a lot of other folks have been very happy that it's an option. That's just something that you... There's just times you don't want to go live and you don't want to talk to people. That happens for everyone. And sometimes you just don't want to have to deal with it. And that's a great time when you can just upload your local recording and not have to worry about it.
Yeah, we've had a decent number of activity regarding local recordings, and everyone I've sort of vetted everyone that I've seen just to sort of make sure, and everyone's been on the up and up about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna ask, kind of going back to the seed now. So we were talking about, what do you do once you've got this go mode? I'd actually like to turn that question to you, Possum. You've got this situation in hand. Where are you looking to go to finish the seed out?
I think I would want to see what the hook has for tier 5J items, and I'd want to see what the moon has for tier 5J items. If I can find some combination of hourglasses and sirens, if I could find Bacchuses to a little, to a lesser extent, I'd want to find some way to enable some sort of grind. Not necessarily to get to endgame levels per se, but something to facilitate a good solid grind. I'd also want to check what character is on the moon, because right now we're staring at what, 2 Sids, an Edge, and a
2 Canes.
2 Canes. I'm sorry.
Yep.
So, we have C maybe hitting very hard right now. The hook character as well as the moon character are really going to drive a lot of those decisions. If you can pull together, let's say, maybe a Rosa and a Palom, a Rosa and a Porum, you could consider getting very cheeky even with a Mac Giant grind with this team. You have a Poison Axe, you have an Edge, if you can find a Thunderclaw. We do have that Cecil as well, who can be a great defensive unit for a Mac Giant grind. Just slap all your heavy armor on him. The tools are there if you can make it work, and also if the hook route is really rude. We see Judge Joe opting to go after the Eblin play. Now, this is also an interesting one because if you hit, and T Wildish plus Eblin is a major talking point, but if you hit a Holy Sword here for Cecil, that changes to where you don't even need a grind.
Yeah, the traps here on T Wildish are weighted, actually, when you add all 3 of them together in Castle Eblin, are weighted pretty highly towards getting you a tier 8 item, and Adamant Armor is off, so the only 2 tier 8 items in that pool are an Excalibur and a Crystal Sword. We'll see. Well, Life Staff is not really what Joe wanted. Not even wearable by anyone except, I think Cecil technically can wear it.
Cecil cannot, actually. Cecil caps at the Silver Staff. He can't use a Power Staff, a Silent Staff, a Lunar Staff, or a Life Staff, sadly.
You really wouldn't
I've
want it
tried them all.
You wouldn't really want it on him anyways. Now, this is where C maybe ends up being a challenge flag, or it very well can be. Actually, so much so that I'm very strongly considering turning it off for the next season of Standard, but we could very well end up in a situation where a Rosa or a Porum doesn't show up, for instance, at the 2 character checks that you named, and our runners are going to have to find out how to kill Zeromus without a White Mage.
Well, that's what Sid is for in a stack of Cure 3s, because if there's no White Mage, Cure 3s are guaranteed.
They are, but hear me out. Rosa's behind, let's say Sand Ruby. That means a White Mage is in the seed, and then Cure 3s don't end up in the shop. That is a world that could exist. It's pretty unlikely.
Now, I do want to point something
the worst,
out.
Really.
We just found a Zeus Gauntlet, and we got a Power Shirt. Zeus Gauntlet goes on Cecil. That's your Mac Giant defense.
Yep.
You can just let him stand there and tank for everything. You summon the Mac Giants, you bop them with, well, everyone else in the party. There's your grind. It's not pretty, but gosh darn is it effective.
Yeah, and I mean, it's with Cecil cover tanking, it's very efficient, honestly. You don't really have to spend a lot of turns wasting turns on blinks or kind of waffling around. You just kind of just kill Mac Giants.
Yeah, that's 30,000 XP a piece. You life glitch him, that's 60k. With Zerkers, you probably do 10 sets. That's all the XP you need for the seed. Go win the game. It's there. It's not the option people want, but it's there. Meanwhile, we have every runner, I believe, now is through this plague. We have Potato, who is our first runner in Go mode. Well, relative, Go mode, still has literally everything to do, but is in effectively Go mode and has everything he needs to complete the seed. There are Bacchus wines for sale. I expect we're going to see a whole lot of Bacchus wines be purchased here, because this party kind of needs its wine.
I like to call this Go mode panic mode. It's when you know you're in Go mode, but you just have to do so much.
Yeah, you're in Go mode, but you need to get underground, complete the sealed cave, get to the moon, complete 3 objectives up there. So you're Go mode, but you're like 40 minutes from finishing if the seed cooperates.
And panicking the entire way.
Yep.
It's great.
Yep. Like, oh no, one little mistake, don't do it, I don't need any mistakes, oh darn.
I'd be that person who heard endless stairs, whatever that was called, and it's just still playing in the back of my head. The entire seed. Because that's how I feel about what's happening right now.
And that's very fair. That that's definitely a thing that would be going on. Meanwhile, I must have missed it on the 3rd trap chest, but I saw a shiny at the bottom left of Joe's inventory. An Excalibur has been picked up. So that alleviates a lot of the potential issues that you could face. And looks like we are getting, that's 25 Bacchus wines. Yeah, Potato bought 18 roughly. Well, that's a nice fancy boss there called Antlion. That's at least going to cause some troubles for our runners. That's not a fun one when you're Zerking and you have no white mage.
Antlion is very much a concern. It might even be enough of a concern for Potato to turn around. Rydia is not really the character you wanted, though hear me out. Ashura is a summon that 2/3 of the time is a healer.
Yep.
She'll never land on life 1 on your entire party when you need a heal.
4 times in a row against Aromas. Yeah.
Nope.
It's interesting, though. That Antlion would potentially lead me to want to do a grind and go take on my 2 moon spots and the rest of the giant, because I'd be there anyway grinding. And then maybe hope to hit a pan or a magma key up on the moon. It's tough, though, because then you'd have to make a second moon trip, and you do have that ribbon room, which is at the bottom of the moon. So it's going to be very interesting, and I see that we have our runners all kind of converging down this hook route, but that's just the 4 runners on screen. It's worth noting that we have, 26, 28 runners in this race total? Like, this is not everyone in this race. There are a ton of people playing the same seed right now. And it's worth noting there will be different strategies that are put into play.
Yep, 25 people are racing this seed right now. And the fun thing about group races is that the more people that you're racing against, the more, if you want to go big, take big swings that might have potential big losses, you take big gambles. So there very well might be runners out there doing all sorts of pretty wild things right now.
Absolutely, and I don't know if anyone got to see it, but we got the lunar shrimp instead of the lunar whale on Funnel Cake's side. The nice little glitch where the lunar whale turns white instead of being its normal darkened color. Always a favorite of mine.
All right, this is possibly our last character check of the seed. Really need a white mage out of the Lunar Dias.
Well,
And it's a Rosa. The runners are saved. Wow.
well, yes and no, because only one of them has actually gone up to the moon, right?
Yeah, well... Look. There is a white mage that exists in this seed in easy access. Whether they get there or not, I don't know. That's not on me.
Fair enough, fair enough. Oh, and hey, Potato has a crystal sword. I don't know where that came from, but apparently there's just holy swords all over now.
That must have been from the format ogres. So Potato, instead of doing Castle Eblin, chose to take the Cave Eblin, or sorry, the Upper Babel format ogres. That chest has less likelihood of hitting tier 8, on top of the fact that it's only 1 instead of the 3 chances. So I very much like Joe's play if you're trying to like more guarantee a holy sword, but Potato got paid out with a better weapon.
Yeah, I mean, there's the saying, better lucky than good. In Potato's case, better lucky and good. Meanwhile, on Mike's side, the Rydia has been taken into his party. On Joe's side, the Rydia also getting taken into the party. So 2 runners taking a Rydia, Potato saying no to Rydia, and Funnel Cakes saying yes to Rosa as our only runner who decided to head up to this moon. And also looks like with the hourglasses in the lunar shop, might be going to play with my personal favorite, the hairdryer chest.
I swear, every time I do this hairdryer chest, it is absolute garbage. But it's also weighted pretty nicely. There's a really good chance of hitting something good here. We've seen a lot of adamant armors come out of this during Adamant Cup groups.
I can confirm that. Twice.
Yes, very directly.
Yeah, this is a chest that, more importantly than anything, it's 30,000 base XP, and if you life glitch everything, it's in the neighborhood of 50 to 55k. So unfortunately, losing out on a life glitch there. But as long as you can get another 1 or 2 life glitches here, you're still going to net 40+ thousand XP, which is going to also slingshot Cecil and Rosa here. Which is pretty awesome if you're in Funnel Cakes' shoes. That sets you up really well for a lot of the mid-game, and maybe even if this pays out with a Holy Sword, maybe you do get cheeky enough to go play on the rest of the moon.
Yeah, I think Funnel Cakes' play will have him be slowest down the hook route, but is going to be really the best equipped to take on both that hook route and really the rest of the seed minus Zeromus, basically. Now, really depends what the reward here is, though, because if this doesn't give a Holy Sword, Funnel Cakes isn't really incentivized to take any more traps. So this is kind of a big moment here. Just a silver apple.
Yeah, I will say Judge Joe made extremely quick work out of that antlion. Even only having an X-Gal to a crystal sword is through that before Potato. So incredibly well done by Judge Joe there.
Judge Joe has been so much fun to watch. There are a lot of great members in our community that are really... We are all at varying skill levels, varying interests of, how much we want to be playing. And Joe's one of those people I found that really loves to grind ladder and play in general. And I love seeing runners get rewarded for the work that they put in. And Joe, like many of our runners, Joe's definitely one of those people that's putting in the work, and you're starting to see that pay dividends, I think. Especially lately, just watching him on the ladder, and of course watching him as a friend as we hang out in a certain Possum's Discord every now and then as well.
Oh, hey, that's me. I do want to just make note that I don't see the darkness crystal lit up on Joe's screen, though. Did he fade the Twin Harp?
Very possible.
The reason I bring that up, of course, me
it's
being
dangerous.
A fan of the whole Fade Harp thing, but you're leaving something unchecked on the overworld on a hook route. that's always really sketchy to me. So, we know, of course, that it's literally go mode. But maybe something drives him back to that twin harp and he gets like a pan down here, or just a package, which is not going to be of any help. Um, Hopefully, Joe gets driven back to the twin harp at some point, and some point soon.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, okay, here's the thing. This is a randomizer. This is a game of random chance, and it is a very defensible play. Even with a hook route, it's a little sketchier because people are going to do twin harp before hook because people don't like doing hook routes because it's slow and often dangerous, but it is very reasonable from the odds perspective to fade really any one particular check, and sometimes you get burned by it, and there's a very strong chance that Joe gets burned very badly, because if he doesn't head to that twin harp anytime soon, sort of the longer you put a check off, the more your incentivized to be like, well, I faded it this long, I might as well keep fading it.
Yeah, absolutely makes sense that, you got to do something to try to win. Joe made the early Zop play, which is fine. He ended up getting that Cecil with the Excal. You got to feel good about that. But you didn't hit Fu. And so you know that you lose time doing that fight early, or doing that check early versus doing it later. So that might be kind of weighing on the back of his mind as well, that I did this, it took a lot of time, it didn't necessarily pay out, so maybe I have to fade something. Meanwhile, a curse ring just casually sitting there in the Feymarch town for Potato, that's going to be really nice in case of a busted anchor, or in his case, not taking that Rydia.
I'm also a bit curious about Potato's play at the moment, heading down to the Feymarch, probably looking for shops more than anything. Got a crystal sword in hand, though. Gotta be wondering. It's always an interesting moment to be like, well, I'm in go mode, but I need to be able to complete the seed somehow.
Yeah, I think part of it also might just be the search for sirens. You want to get some levels, and the Feymarch could give you the pan, which is an easier go mode. It's a very defensible play. You route in Tamra, you probably route in Dwarf. You might even be looking for some edge weapons beyond just some sirens. But coming up fairly blank right now on any sort of sirens. So if they're not in Dwarf, I think we're looking at maybe having to steal them, which at least that can be done.
Yeah, it's always interesting to me playing these randomizers, trading the known for the unknown. The known is to just go steal sirens, maybe do the last character check, and then just go, versus the unknown of like, well, I really don't like my situation, and maybe I can hit. And sirens are pretty likely to be in the seed, and we've got all of the shops available to us. So I think this play makes a lot of sense. And there's the sirens there in Dwarf Castle. Potato about to mortgage his entire inventory to pay for as many as he can.
Don't blame him at all in this case, because without having access to a white mage, there's only a couple of items that you realistically care about. Cure 3s, Bacchus wines, and levels. Sirens give you levels. You've already seen Bacchus. You just need Cure 3s. So if our runners can find those, technically they have everything they need. So we'll see where it turns out, but having those sirens available is really nice for the runners as well, because that'll get them, enough ability to take on the sealed cave for sure, and maybe enough to go after the moon checks pretty easily after that also, without too much of a grind.
Yeah, and being able to double up on, I think it's a really good point of being able to double up the shops, hoping to hit Cure 3s as well as the sirens definitely makes that even kind of a more enticing play, as it were. But Potato now in the meanwhile going to go talk to Sheila 1. We've got kind of wide divergence here. Joe is heading down Sealed Cave basically immediately. Really probably for Joe hoping that Darkness is down here, or a pan. Of course we know the pan would be Pretty funny find down here. Okay, it's just a pink tail. Pink tail is a tier 7 or 8 item. Probably not too interested in that. I mean, it could be like a moss or something, which is okay, but...
Well, of
Yeah,
note, though, when Potato decides to do that, and when Mike also decides to do it, I believe that's going to put them both at either 8 or 9 key items. So the quest to get to 10 key items is looking pretty likely as well for our runners. But the question will be, do they take extra steps to get to 10? Sheila 1 in particular here, if this gives a key item, our runners, I believe, are guaranteed 10 before getting to the moon.
Sheila 1 would be
Ew.
9. What would the 10th be?
The pink tail from Sealed Cave.
Oh,
right?
the pink tail. Yeah, the pink tail.
So yeah, darkness, pink tail.
What do you got, Sheila? Oh, it's a Zeus Gauntlet. Zeus Gauntlet's really nice. We've already got one, though. And here's the thing that comes up. This is, again, about trading the known for the unknown. The hunt for 10 key items is so tempting until the game is like, key item check. Nope. Key item check. Nope.
Yeah.
Key item check. Nope. it does happen. I like the sort of doubling out here, though. I don't know if Potato had checked these shops before. I'm guessing not, since he's checking them now. But at least doing Sheila 1 gets you a chance to find Tier 3s in football.
I do want to point out something here real quick.
Yep.
Look on the bottom left of your screen. What's a boss you don't want to find in the Sealed Cave? And what's an even worse boss when an Avenger's equipped?
All right, this is a 50-50. Oh, and Kane gets
Better
hit.
lucky
Okay,
than good.
that's real lucky. Hey,
Yeah.
I mean, when we play these games, right, that have variants in them,
Oh,
you're
yeah.
trying to play at a high skill level and hope to get lucky. And part of what makes it so interesting is that you have to keep playing at that high skill level if you're trying to win, while also getting lucky. And Joe getting lucky here, very good for him, because otherwise he'd have to reset and kind of reset this up. This is thankfully at least a free fight. Like, this is with a good anchor. I don't mind seeing Golbez here. It's very annoying.
Yeah, it's just one of those where you have to make a choice. And that choice was to go down here with battle speed 1 almost certainly, where you're setting yourself up that you're relying on a 50-50. And there's some part of me that would be wondering, would it have been quicker to reset? But if you believe in your 50-50 skill, you can just do what Joe did. And have Kane get hit and be done with it.
Yeah, the very safe thing to do is you see Golbez immediately reset, set up, and then go back into it. It's probably not that much of a loss of time either. So that's another important thing about playing these randomizers, is when you can mitigate variance, when you can. And that's a way to mitigate variance, is to just take a reset. We'll see what Mike wants to do. Mike is in the same scenario now, finding that Golbez, not resetting, so going to stay in that fight. It's a 50-50, of course, because Golbez takes you down to 2 party members, and then you need to get a Star Veil up because Golbez is about to start slinging spells, but the way the timing always works out with an anchored situation is that first virus is going to come off before the Star Veil, so Mike also choosing to take that 50-50.
Worth noting on Mike's side, someone has a ribbon because there was a failed cast, or a failed eat attempt, if you will, from Shadow the Snake. So I don't know who has that ribbon, but this puts Mike in a much better situation where, yes, you could lose this, but it's unlikely when you're at a 1 in 3, because then you have multiple chances to not die.
Yep, that's a great point. The only way to lose that is you have to lose a 1 in 3 and then a 1 in 2. It can happen. Ask me how.
I mean, as someone who lost 11 coin flips in a row the other day, yeah, it can definitely happen. But meanwhile, we have Judge Joe taking a bit of an interesting play here. This is that quest for 10 key items, and Dwarf, oh, I would reset. No, thank you. Oh, well, Joe, oh, that's right, Joe doesn't have the Darkness Crystal. But even so, yeah, that gauntlet is super icky. You don't really want to play with that.
Yeah, it's both a hunt for... so Joe doesn't know that Darkness has a Rosa behind it. It's also a character check for a White Mage, so it makes a lot of sense to me. It just kind of luckily, actually, that Alt Gauntlet is there, which has made him reset out of it. So that'll be something he'll fade for a long time.
Yeah, definitely, especially with this party. Not exactly an appetizing thing to do. But meanwhile, Mike also through objective number 2. Worth pointing out that Judge Joe and Mike now both have objective 2 on the board. Potato, I believe, opted not to do the sealed cave, which is a little bit interesting to me, unless I'm mistaken here. And Funnel Cakes is through the hook route as well with those extra levels, and that Rosa already in tow with levels. So we'll be making quick work of the sealed cave here as well.
I don't remember seeing Potato go down the sealed cave. He definitely has that Luca key in hand. I'm a little grateful he came to the moon to see that Rosa, but he's diving down now. Maybe really hoping for that pan instead of wanting to do the sealed cave. Could also honestly have just forgotten. That certainly happens. I've done it many times.
There's some interesting routing to be had here as well, because with the Luca key done for Joe and Mike, I would be very intrigued about a giant play before the moon. Because you complete the giant now, then you go and do your 2 lunar objectives. And that gives you the ribbon room last, which means that you just go and you take yourself right to Z. Normally, I'm a fan of the giant after your moon checks, but in this case, I like it before.
I think that will be a very important play to make as well, because unless that pass shows up on the moon in the 2 moon spots that you have to do, let's say in Potato's case, he runs down here, he does his lunar objectives and then dips, so he'll have to make that run all the way back down, which is what, like 2 minutes? Something like that?
It's not quick. Plus you got flight time and everything else.
Yeah.
It's minutes of time. And in this level of competition, in this field, with how good everybody is, you don't have minutes of time. And that's a big concerning factor.
Oh yeah, minutes is an eternity.
Well, if you didn't already have a holy sword, here, have a holy sword. If you already had a holy sword, here, have a dart.
Oh, I love 2 Wildish. Oh, thank you, Seed, for this blessed bounty of darts. Yeah, Pinktail giving an X-Cal is, actually kind of stings to see that, because you know that everyone's going to get an X-Cal now, but Joe got a lot of benefit out of that X-Cal, and I was hoping he might do this. Joe, having set up for Shield 1, is in the perfect spot to do that Twin Harp, is going to take it now, going to get his Darkness Crystal. Very happy to see that.
And it makes a lot of sense, because you've already weakened yourself, as you alluded to, coming from the Sylph Cave. So dropping everyone down to 1 HP, or very near it, you can easily off any of your remaining party members and just happily go through and make this check. If it's nothing, you reset. If it's good, you keep it. And in this case, we know it's good. Also on Funnel Cake's side, we did see a reset there. Picked up that Pinktail, went back, put the ribbon that he knew he picked up onto Cecil. So he knows that his Cecil cannot die right away from the snake here, and just hoping that Cecil is going to be able to either, off someone here and is able to off Rosa. So making it so that Cecil has an even better chance of surviving. Not bad at all on Funnel Cake's side.
By the way, you know what does a really good impression of a Siren Grind?
Dark Imps at the Ribbon Room?
Uh-huh, yep.
Yeah, pretty good.
Also, held a pan, which
because of course it
is alternate go mode for Potato.
Yeah.
Also means it's super hard required. Moon was already hard required, but
Yeah, but it does mean that Potato probably avoids the giant, which is
huge.
Pretty big.
Yeah,
that negates at least the time taken to walk down the lunar subterranean, an extra time. I think I timed it out the other day. A hook route is roughly 5 minutes. A giant is, in a perfect world, 5 minutes between cutscenes and bosses, but oftentimes is closer to 6 or 7, even with power overwhelming. just because of how annoying the element spot can be with all the HP there. Maybe a little less in this case because you got Crystal Sword Avenger Cecil, but even so, there's a lot of nastiness that you could run into and make that very long.
Yeah, so you know that amazing play we talked about doing the giant first because it's so much more efficient?
Yeah.
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 You know, there are going to be a lot of
it's-
runners
yeah.
and race spoilers that are going to be very upset about that. I
Yep.
like guarantee it.
But that's
it's what I
also the
would've
beauty
done.
of it. Yeah,
It
I mean, that's
is.
also the beauty of it, though. Like, you can do all these different things in whatever order you want, and if you hit, you just win, right? Like, Potato is now in the driver's seat.
Yeah. It's why I personally love X of Y objectives, like 4 or 5 objectives, because there's still variance in any kind of like, you know, if you have to do 5 of 5, you still variance of like having to hunt down the one thing left to do.
Yeah.
But this just gives multiple paths to go mode, and it kind of enables, like, we talked earlier about somebody that might immediately run to Moon before even doing the hook route. If that someone that did that might have gotten rewarded because they'd have gotten Dark Imps in the Ribbon Room, a ton of experience, and a pan.
Yeah, absolutely. The keys to the kingdom, if you will, would all have been there. And who knows? I mean, that pan could lead to, as Chath has pointed out, it could have a pass. And then you don't even have to do the second moon run either. So you go from having to stare a second trip plus a giant into no giant plus a pass. Like, it could snowball that quickly and that out of control.
Yep, absolutely. And all right, just a ribbon, which would have been nice for that Golbez, womp womp, for Potato, but...
In Potato's case, it will be nice for that goal, but he
didn't
hasn't
do that,
done it
right.
yet.
And he's gonna go do it.
So, like, it's just all coming up Potato.
Yeah.
But that is objective 3 and 4, the Ribbon Room and Murasame done for Potato. And he is on his way back to the blue planet. Meanwhile, Funnel Cakes, Judge Joe, and Mike all have completed objective 2, complete the sealed cave. And it looks like we're getting a lunar whale launch on Judge Joe's side, a pink-tail turn-in, and some shopping on Mike's side. And looks like Funnel Cakes has said, I am off to the moon, not even turning in that pink-tail. So I hope he has a Holy Sword already, or else he's, well, going to be behind a Holy Sword. But doesn't look like we're getting a giant play from Funnel Cakes on his way up to the moon.
That'll be definitely to Funnel Cakes' advantage, as we know with the Ribbon Room having our pan in it. Let's see where Joe wants to go. Joe's going to the giant. Joe's making the odds play that makes sense without information.
Yep.
Unfortunately, we'll be a little sad by the end result of it. But for us, we get to see what's on the giant right now, and that's neat.
That is neat. And speaking of neat, it does look like Funnel Cakes does have a Crystal Sword according to chat. So I think everyone at least has an X-Gal. Multiple runners have a Crystal Sword. So lots of good stuff for our runners. Yeah, there's Crystal Sword Avenger on Funnel Cakes' side. So this is, I still think Potato in the driver's seat, but Funnel Cakes probably has moved just past Mike into second. I think Mike's in third, probably. And Judge Joe, by virtue of making the odds play, is in, I believe, speculative last place because he's on the giant, and I don't know that anyone else is going to go there.
Now, speaking of everybody having holy swords, I do want to speak for just a moment about design intent. C maybe is very much a challenge flag set, can create some really gross situations, but part of why we turned C maybe on was to have the chance of either Cecil not being in the seed or a plethora of Cecils being in the seed. Now, it turned out that there's really only the one, I think, immediately available, but like, I like to see a seed where on T Wildish, where there's holy swords possibly everywhere, at least everybody on screen seems to have one. Like, that's a nice parody from, you know, like an evenness perspective.
Yeah, it's the same style of design concept as I forget what the flag set was that had it, but there was a flag set that had it might have been Sea Hero and ZZ4 even, where it was start any, no Fusoya. So, like, either everyone had a Fu or no one had a Fu.
Oh my god, it's Wyvern on the giant.
No.
Oh no.
Just punish Joe Moore, game. Why do you do this to this man? What did he do to deserve this?
Oh no. Yeah, so Wyvern is rude basically anywhere, but you put it in a spot with 65,000 hit points, and not only is it rude, it is throwing nukes constantly. Like, Joe's gonna get through it. Probably. He hasn't taken a grind, so he's only level 30, but it's gonna take him a while.
Yeah, this is not pleasant. The other issue for Joe is he is right under the threshold, HP-wise, where people can die to those nukes. You realistically want to be 1600 health. And those nukes that are fired off, they can just flat out eliminate you.
The next thing that's going to be very difficult for Joe, he's going to get all this giant experience without that Rosa.
I don't think that's going to be a concern after the giant XP and the moon XP, though. I think if you just have a couple of Cure 3s or even one Elixir, with a Holy Sword, with an Avenger, with all the damage, I don't think it's that big a deal. And Joe's run enough of flagships like this that he'll be okay.
Yeah, and Joe, very good at playing this aggressive style. Also, I do see the one Cure 3 in his inventory, and an Elixir as well.
Meanwhile, on Potato's side, the last man standing is the Anchor Sid. Probably not who you want to be alive, but hey, it's a character that lived, and that's really all that matters. As he is chasing his objective number 2, while Funnel Cakes is on his way to his objective number 3, which is Ribbon Room, and Mike completing a Gold Dragon fight, trying to get some levels for this party before proceeding on. But speaking of all these runners, give them a follow. They're putting on a great show. They're showing you all these holy swords. They're just doing a fantastic job all around, and all of them stream quite often. Again, they are very active in the ladder, and you can see them race, oftentimes multiple times a week, and sometimes multiple times a day. Very dedicated group here. We have the fake out from Mike, who went to talk to the giant, saved, is now going to the giant officially. So I think we might be getting Mike doing the giant to lunar subterrane play here, which again, Solaris, you and I would have done.
Yeah, and we would have been, oh boy.
Literally burned from it because of Wyvern. Yeah. I knew where you were going with that, but you didn't say it. I'll say it for you.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, literal burned. Yep. Microwaved even. Oh dear.
It's like chicken, except it's fried human, which is far less great. Or fried lunarian?
No,
I guess there's a lunarian. Yeah.
Nope.
Wyvern enjoys it. Wyvern's a jerk bird. Anyway, speaking of things that aren't jerk birds, Solaris doing commentary with me is amazing. You should follow him. I even saw him stream the other day. That was fantastic. Got to see his beautiful face, which he rarely shows. So you should always be happy to see that. Scala Kitty, of course, the wonderful Scala Kitty. If not one of the best people in this community, probably just the best person in this community. Scala's amazing. And Dubward, my friend out here in the beautiful desert of Nevada. Buddy, thank you for doing the tracking on this 4-player race. You actually have the hardest job of anyone. So keep up the great work. Oh, hey, another crystal sword
from a pan turn-in.
Because we needed more holy swords.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, of course, give my friend Possum Morpheus a follow. If you happen to be living under a rock and are not familiar with who Possum is, first of all, winner of Adamant Cup in general, and second of all, a prolific streamer, very popular there, very good streams, just great person in general. Make sure you give him a follow. Very active streamer. Learn so much about free enterprise from watching him, I promise.
Oh, thanks.
You're welcome.
Meanwhile, Joe did defeat the jerk bird.
Yep. Who's that elements? Sorry, CPU. Backwards.
Have we seen Gauntlet yet?
Yes, we have. Dwarf Castle.
Oh, that's right.
Oh.
Darn. Well, that at least resists
map.
holy. That's fun. Meanwhile, Potato has his crystal. Our first runner in Go mode does not have a pass, though, so the pan did not do the ultimate womp womp thing. But it did give a magma key, which is pretty funny because it's utterly useless, but it did come from the moon. So at least we know that hook was required.
Okay, so hear me out. You run, you do a Mac Giant immediately, and then you just go to the ribbon room. You get a bunch of experience from Dimps, you get a pan, and then, darn, never mind. I was like, you can get underground with it, but no, you can't.
But you can't, yeah, you have to get underground to get underground, yeah.
It was like it was almost there.
It's like double secret probation, but it's with underground.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, yeah, Potato on his way to the moon to walk the lunar subterranean the second time. So we at least got that wish that someone had to make the what is it? The not walk of shame. That's when you do the bad parking thing outside of Troya. The prance of pride. I don't know what you want to call it here. The moonwalk. Oh, I like that. We're getting the voice of God in our ears, calling it the moonwalk. That works. I like it.
The prance of pride, though, that's gonna stick with me. Thank you.
You're welcome. I think I stole that from Flossie Fern, another fantastic member of the community.
Octoman, thankfully, loses tentacles, and when Octoman loses tentacles, it becomes slower, because otherwise that was going to be one heck of a slog. But Joe gets through that fight, gets his experience, gets a character, actually, out of this. It might actually be relevant. Could be a Fusoya.
Worth pointing out, remember how Funnel Cakes got underground 9 minutes after everyone else?
Yep.
Funnel Cakes is in Go mode. About, 90 seconds behind Potato?
Yep.
That's a lot of ground that Funnel Cakes made up.
Made up a lot of ground through that grinding, I believe. Excuse me, grinding through that hairdryer chest, basically.
Yeah.
Plus, wherever that crystal sword happened to end up for Funnel Cakes, we unfortunately missed it.
I think it might also have been the Mad Ogre chest.
Oh, on the way down
and then
the route.
Got another one for fun from the pan, because, why not?
Why not? Look, when it rains, it pours. Swords.
That's true. It is worth noting as well, we kind of discussed this a little bit. There are 20, what did you say it was, 28 racers?
25.
25
racers. Yep.
Yeah. Math is hard. I'm oddly decent at it, but I can't do it right now for whatever reason. That's fine. That's a me problem, not a you problem, chat. But there are 25 people in this race. No one's done yet. So our runners on stream do still have a chance to take first overall in this. And I think that there's also quite a cookie bounty on the line here. Something like, 700 cookies on the line? Something like that. Which are just a fantastic little pseudo-currency we use in the community to make things a little more interesting.
Cookies are great. They do nothing, but they're fun, and we love fun. You get to eat them. You get to bet them. You get little race spot rewards for accumulating or spending them. You also get them just for participating in races. And if you like what you see here, and you've never done a community race, or you've never done a ladder race, I'll call two things out. One, these community races are back Mondays and Friday nights, always at the same time, 8 p.m. Eastern tonight, I believe 10 p.m. Eastern Fridays. They're a great time, super casual. All you have to do is stream, but you don't have to be restreamed. And I don't have time to do all this. Possum, what is Potato about to face here?
Well, one of the cool things about Final Fantasy IV for Enterprise is that we don't like to put the big bad final boss everywhere else, because that's kind of rude and gross. And if you've ever been big banged by a witchburn wyvern, it's not the bee's knees, friends. It's oftentimes just instant death, and it's a bad time. So we don't want that to happen to anybody. So Zeromus gets this little bit of cosplay, and you get one of Scala Kitty's 5, 6, 7, I don't know how many hundreds of designs, but they're all amazing. So I believe the question that we have to ask this evening is, well, with these parties that we have, I'm going to steal this one from Invent because it's a good one. Whose Torker are we going to Zerker?
I actually hope it's creepy. I always hope for the creepy ones. There's a great variety of them, but some of them
Not
are like
wrinkleness. Not wrinkleness.
horrifying.
Oh, well, speaking that's okay. Well, speaking of, does that make me a witch?
Yes. Yes, it does.
Excellent.
You are a possum-shaped witch. You're your little witch hat and your little Lilith rod. And you just willed this into existence. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm proud of me. But yeah, meanwhile, this is Aromas, and this Aromas, well, this is Inven. And Inven is going to, well, for Potato's sake, hopefully Inven gets its butt kicked here.
That was a really good counter nuke, hitting the Rosa who had a Starveil up, going back into Invent. The kind of one scary thing is having your White Mage dropped. Now, if Potato has the Cure 3 or the Elixir that Joe has, it makes this a lot safer, but the levels are a bit low here, so this isn't actually necessarily free. Zeromus could easily do a Big Bang that kills everybody, or what we call nerfing, where you have Zeromus counter with the nuke from an action that you took, and it lowers his magic attack power so that then the next Big Bang that comes out does less damage. But the timing of it is tricky, and there's also the kind of tricky timing at the end where a Big Bang and then last phase Meteor could come out kind of back to back. So the fight's not necessarily free. He does have to manage those.
The one really nice thing about Potato's setup, though, is that having Rosa in slot 5 means that you can get that nerf off for the next Big Bang, and then you can get a Cure 4 out, or you can get a Cure 4 after the Big Bang before rocks. So the Wombo combo, if you play it correctly, is pretty much off the table, which is really beneficial for our runners. That's also pretty true in Funnel Cake's case because he has Rosa in slot 4. So having your White Mage further back in the order allows for a lot more safety than you would otherwise think. In Potato's case here, he's likely going to sit on this Sid's turn and just wait to nerf, and then Rosa's action will queue, and he'll be able to get that Cure 4 off, and it should be pretty smooth sailing on Potato's side here. Even with a little bit of nerf damage, should be able to get through this. We see Funnel Cakes leading out with a Spoon Dart, just heading on over here. Cecil ate the nuke, but gets elixired, and off to the races for both these runners. Again, worth noting, no finishers yet for this race as a whole. So we still have Potato and Funnel Cakes both well in the running for this, and a perfect counter nuke target on Potato's side. Sid eats that counter nuke, don't even need to heal, and we should see another Big Bang coming out on Potato's side, but he's in a really good position. Very clean fight, very clean targeting from Z.
Yeah, with that nerf succeeding on Potato's side, should be safe through the rest of this. I was going to say it's never a guarantee. One little mistake, one mishap could easily take one of these runners out of the fight. So it's really neck and neck between Potato or Funnel Cakes on who could win this, but Potato's looking strong to claim victory here.
Yeah, Potato's up an entire Big Bang cycle, is also up a little bit of HP and levels. One of the things on Funnel Cake's side, you're looking at a Rosa with 1400 health. That is not a lot of health on a Rosa. That'd be a lot of health on a Porum, but that is not a lot of health on a Rosa.
Okay, there comes the black hole that will take out Berserk for everyone except the Avenger wielder, which thankfully is Cecil with glitched Crystal Sword. If you swap between a Crystal Sword and an Avenger without taking any actions, the game thinks that you're still wielding a Crystal Sword. And there's Rock's phase, so Potato is going to get through.
Yeah, very well managed.
Oh,
great job by Potato.
We have a snipe. Chat. I'm going to announce here that our winner, first place runner here, is Pyre.
Yeah,
just
GG's to Pyre.
GG's to Pyre.
And there's GG's to Potato. So very, very close. Barely by, what is that, 35 seconds. Pyre gets Potato on this. Extremely close. But we do have at least this second place finisher in this very large race on stream, so that's always cool to see. And barring disaster, we might even see a very good showing from Funnel Cakes 2 here. Meanwhile, we are joined by Potato, our first place finisher on Restream, second place overall. GG's to you, Fried Potato.
GG Pyre for that 35-second snipe, and GG everybody. It was a lot of fun.
So I want to ask about your routing, because you would have absolutely destroyed Solaris and I, because we would have done something very different. You opted not to do the Luca key while you were underground, and then instead of doing the giant on the way up to the moon, you went to the bottom of the moon and you did those checks there before coming back. What was kind of the logic for your routing there? Because I'm particularly very curious on that.
So I had 8 key items and no pass, and I didn't want to grind on the giant, so I had sirens, and originally I was going to just do sirens underground and then Luca, but I thought, let's see. I can go up. If I need to grind before Ribbon Room, I can just hourglass up. And the hourglasses were on the moon, I knew that at that point. And I've got Crystal Sword Cecil. I've got plenty of Bacchus. It won't be that long of a grind if I need to get to Ribbon Room, and then I can leave, hit Murrah, and then giant if need be, and maybe I luck into either the pass or the pan, and I got the pan, so I was able to avoid the giant, which I kind of wanted to do as soon as I saw the objectives. So
well, absolutely makes sense. That quest for 10 key items plays a huge role. And it definitely paid off for you. Hitting that pan was huge. You got to fade a giant, which I don't know if you've had time to see any spoilers. The giant had a wyvern at 65k.
Oh man,
Sure did.
yeah. I'm glad I avoided that then. I'm very glad I avoided that. I generally try to avoid the giant if I can, if it's an objective, and it doesn't seem like the other will be too long. Like Forge and I don't have either piece, I'm probably going to go to the giant. But something like this, especially with the Ribbon Room and Murrah, I was like, okay, that's 3 shots at like one of the things, or the pan, or, the pass, which will speed up the rest of it. So.
Mm-hmm. No, it definitely makes sense.
Kane Edge start any day, please.
Yeah, I mean, you are a terrifying competitor on Jet Seeds. In general, you're a terrifying competitor. But on Jet Seeds in particular, you are one who is willing to do whatever you have to do to win as quickly as possible. So I dare say this particular flag set suits you well, and you demonstrated that today. It was very, very well run.
I've really been enjoying Ladder Standard. I was worried that I wasn't going to get a White Mage, and I was just going to have to, overlevel, which is another kind of reason I routed the way I did. I thought, I could chemist Sid through the Z fight if I need to, as long as I get him enough. And once I found that curse string, I was like, okay, we're good to go. I can just overlevel if need be and still be fine in Z. So. Then there was Rosa.
All right, well, last question, at least on my mind for me. I just wanted to get the chance to ask you, since we've got you here. You're one of our more prolific ladder racers throughout really all the season. What brings you back to ladder time and time again?
The way it's constructed, I like the random 1v1 a lot. It gives me a chance to look at specific decisions I made versus them and kind of compare as I go, plus the variety of flag sets. It just really appealed to me. It's what got me kind of playing this competitively. I played on my own for a long time, but when the ladder came out, I decided to start giving competitive matches a go, and I've really enjoyed it. And then I get opportunities like this where we get to do the ladder flag set in a big community race, and it's a whole lot of fun.
That makes a lot of sense, and I'm glad to hear it. Any other questions from you, Possum?
No questions here. I appreciate the ability to watch you run this and run it very well, Potato, and look forward to watching you more on the ladder.
Well, thank you very much. GG all, and thank you for the comms and the restream and tracking team. We couldn't do it without you guys. So it's greatly appreciated, and it was a blast to be on Restream and to get to run these flags tonight for everybody.
Thanks so much, and GG's again.
GG's potato.
GG.
And I do believe we are now joined by our second place finisher on Restream, third place finisher overall, and fellow member of the Full Moon group, Funnel Cakes, and his very special Kane, who got him there in the end.
Yeah, Kane came through in the end. He started the seed and he finished it.
So take us through kind of the obvious end there. You're staring at rocks. You're staring at a lot of question marks on the screen, and you're wondering, is this really gonna get me? What were your thoughts? Like, were you comfortable at any point in that fight? Was it lower level than you're used to? How were you feeling about it?
I was definitely not super comfortable. I thought I had bought sirens, but apparently that was the 11 coffins I had picked up. And so I was going to do like one or two of them when I went to turn in the pan and just get a little bit more HP in case I missed a nerf or something to make it just a little smoother. And then I went, you know what? Nah, this is the time to try it. Let's go.
Yeah, and I mean, try and succeed. And, you know, I've told you this before. I will keep hyping you up. You know, I long said that if you weren't, you know, in that awful Full Moon group, you could have made a lot of noise in the past tournament. And I am looking forward to you, you know, going forward. Third place tonight in a stacked field of 25. Boy, oh boy, Funnel Cakes, the future is bright, my friend.
No, it felt good. My heart was racing as I went over to hit done.
Yeah, third place is a fantastic showing overall, honestly. And I know I've seen you quite a bit on ladder as well. So yeah, really, really looking forward to kind of watching you in future runs for sure.
Yeah, no, I've been enjoying ladder after the tournament. I took a 3 or 4 week break, and with this new season, it's been nice to have something to work towards.
Well, very happy to hear that. Only other question on my mind, you were given basically a Jud seed. How did you feel about that once you realized you had go mode in hand?
I was a little panicky. I feel like, based on the fact that I'd seen an Ogre Axe, I had a lot of poison stuff. I was like, oh man, everyone's gonna hit a bunch of giants, and it's not gonna be great because I've done giants, I think, once. So I'm glad I was able to scoop up a crystal sword and use that to balance out any grinding I couldn't do.
Yeah, we'll have you know that the only giants that were hit on stream, at least between the four of y'all on Restream, were ogres, which I guess count as giants. In the game standpoint, no Mac giants were harmed in the making of these finishes.
Well, that's good to hear. Glad I made a similar decision to my fellow Restreamed racers.
Yeah, the one thing that you did that was different than everyone else, you checked the Moon character fairly early. You got that Rosa, and you did a slingshot on the Cecil and Rosa off the hairdryer chest. And I do want to say we thought that was a fantastic decision. Like, you were last
absolutely
underground, but you made up a ton of time having access to that Rosa and having your party kind of grinded up already. That even though you were behind, you stormed right up, nearly catching up to Potato, who I want to say was like 7 or 8 minutes ahead of you underground, and you finished less than a minute behind.
Yeah, that's a great point. When you go back to watch this, you'll see how it goes from, you know, you sort of last in Restream to really quite ahead. The hairdryer play was really great. It's just so much experience from it.
It's something I like to keep in mind when I know I've got hourglasses and I have like early moon access, because it can fix a lot of hard checks that you can run into the hook. You can just get a bunch of experience, and it's great.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I am out of questions here for you. Again, it was fantastic to watch you do what you do, and I always like to hang out and watch you do your ladder races too. But before we let you go, Solaris, you got any last questions for Funnel Cakes?
No, that's really it for me. Again, big GG's to you. It was super fun to watch you. I'll be looking forward to watching in the future too.
Thank you very much. Thanks to the Restream team for you guys for doing commentary, for the viewers coming out to watch us. I always get excited when I get picked to be restreamed. It's fun to show off a little bit.
And we love to feature on Restreams, so thanks so much for that.
All right, and that was our second place finisher on Restream, third place overall Funnel Cakes, and we'll see if we can get Judge Joe in for an interview as well. He finished in a time of 1:14.42, third place on Restream, sixth place overall. So a lot of really good finishes on our Restream this evening, and we are now joined by Judge Joe. GG's to you, Judge Joe.
Thank you. That was a interesting seed that you had to play very aggressive to have a chance.
Well, and let's just talk about that right off the bat. You started with an Earth Crystal, and you decided never to leave Troya until Zot was done. If that isn't aggression, I don't know what is. Take us through kind of your reasoning for that right away.
I had the power. Gives me one. It does give me a chance for an early foo, which can change things drastically. In this case, it gave me the Cecil, so it's the easiest chance of seeing what sort of gated characters are available. With the Avenger and Defense Sword, I was going to get through it, almost certainly, especially with the secondary edge, and didn't feel like there's too much of a better time to route it in.
Yeah, that played out pretty well for you, and then that gave you the hook route that you knew was likely going to be your underground access immediately. Though, we're going to speak about the other key item that was in that pool, which was the Twin Harp. Something that you didn't do right away. What was on your mind, sort of, as you were finishing up underground checks about, whether you'd do, like, Dwarf Castle, Top of Tower, Fame March, versus that Twin Harp?
So, short of the Darkness Crystal, which was there, it was unlikely to necessarily be acquired, and I had enough power that even if it was a Magma Key, it might not have... It wasn't too bad of a hook route. Sure, a time loss, but not too much. I did the hook route when I did because I didn't really want to exit out, do Twin Harp, then go all the way back down the hook route. And so I was pretty much keeping it routed in for when I went back above ground, if I didn't find a darkness in the easy underground checks.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And then speaking about things that are unlikely, we're gonna have to call this out too. Possum and I both would have made this play and lost from it. How did you feel about that giant?
That giant sucked.
Yeah,
it didn't look fun.
That's kind of what we thought. And we agreed with your routing as far as, how Solaris and I would have routed it as well, that the giant made a lot of sense, and then you go and do your moon checks, and then you go to Zeromus. It just so happened that Pan was at the ribbon room, and that, made the giant irrelevant if you went to the moon first. So we would have routed the same as you and also ran into that jerk bird.
Yeah, first time I look at it, try and get multiple star veils, go, alrighty, let's try this again. I need my people alive and active now, because my levels sucked.
Yeah, you did a good job getting through it, though, because you were very much so in the danger zone getting through that fight. So, job well done getting through it with a very sketchy party for that boss at that spot.
Was there a
Overall,
white
I'd say
mage at package? Or was Rosa the only white mage ever seen by anyone?
I don't think we saw the package, Chuck. So, unsure. Somebody in Race Spoilers might know, but everyone had seen that rose, I believe, so nobody checked the package. At least on Restream.
Yeah.
But yeah, otherwise, I was just going to say, I think you put on a great show of how to play these seeds extremely aggressively and be rewarded for it. Yeah, I mean, some, rando things turned out that people were able to snipe you because I didn't end up doing the giant, but I think you put on a great show. And a great showing.
Yeah. when I saw the pan, I honestly was less worried about things. I don't know, it just felt like it made a lot more sense to giant and save the 3-minute walk. Was all. So, surprise.
Yep, rando gonna rando sometimes for sure. But that's it for me for questions. You got anything else, Boston?
No, just always a pleasure to watch a race, Joe. I know that you are one of our ladder warriors as well, and this is a flag set on the ladder. So, looking forward to more of you. Either you running privately in Discord or publicly on stream. Always fun to catch you running these races.
Yeah, Free Enterprises is and has always been for a while fun to watch and fun to play.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you again for putting on a great show and for volunteering to be restreamed. We appreciate it.
Always a good time. Makes for a good watch to see and hear afterwards.
Yep, absolutely. And with that, that was Judge Joe. We're going to see if we can get Mike in for an interview, and then that'll be it for our broadcast tonight.
Yeah, and Mike was our 9th place finisher overall. So we had the 2nd, the 3rd, the 6th, and the 9th place finishers on Restream. And that, I believe, is Mike joining us, who finished in a time of 1:20.29. Good for 9th place overall. GG's to you, Mike.
Thanks, Possum.
So how about that giant?
Go ahead. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we love Wyvern with 64,000 HP. I'm glad I took somewhat of a grind before that. Also, I accidentally saved over my save, so even if I didn't really especially want to do it, I was kind of committed.
Oh no, you gave yourself like a forced vanilla giant situation. Thankfully, you got your way through it.
I recall seeing you save outside of Cave Bahamut. I honestly didn't even catch that you had saved over. I thought it was pretty heads up, because if you run into something super gross, you can just reset back out and then go maybe do the moon. And let's say it's like a gauntlet or something, you just don't want to deal with it. You go back to the moon, you do your moon checks, and decide if you want to do the giant then.
Yeah, exactly. I think my favorite part of that run was level 1 cover strat Cecil against Hook Route Antlion.
Oh, your Cecil was level 1 for that? What was he wearing?
Yeah, he died, so I was still able to slingshot him on the moon.
He tried.
Great. Yeah, he did try.
He gets a gold star.
Yeah.
So tell us, I guess overall...
I hit every overworld shop too. Go ahead.
Oh, looking for Cure 3s?
Yeah.
Yeah, given that was basically...
and then dropped them all.
Oh, did you keep that radio for a while?
No, I dropped her immediately upon finding Rosa, and then picked up another video later. I think I did like 4 or 5 anchor swaps.
Oh, you got to do what you got to do. Anchors are important.
Extremely important, especially against like that Wyvern, for instance.
Yeah, I saw that once I died. I saw Cecil was an RA1, threw that ninja hat on him to get him there, and then he was zerked and good to go.
A really heads-up adjustment to get through, especially when agility is like black magic in this randomizer of ours. Very skillfully done.
Did anybody actually take a quick peek at those imps and take that early before doing the hook route? Because the pan was there.
Nobody on Restream did it, but we were kind of talking out, and if you happen to watch back and listen, we were sort of musing early on about being able to go to the moon, maybe do like a Mac Giant grind, and then later on musing that if somebody had done that, they would have paid out really well. Perhaps Pyre did that, we're not really sure. That's our first place runner overall that wasn't on Restream. Certainly a good question to ask in the Race Spoilers channel in the Discord, because someone very well might have done that, but we didn't see it on Restream.
Yeah, I had Mac Giant. I considered it once I looted that Ogre axe in Sealed Cave, but at that point I had enough quick grind options, and I wanted to turn that pink tail in to see if it was a shiny sword, and it was, and that pretty much settled needing a grind.
Oh yeah, there were shiny swords all over this seed. The 4 Mad Ogres had a crystal sword. The one of the chests in Castle Eblin had an Excal. The Pan Bonk had a crystal sword, I believe.
Yeah,
like they were everywhere.
The Pink Tail had an Excal. They were just all over the place. There were holy swords everywhere.
Amazing. Yeah, it was a pretty jet seed. It just kind of lent itself to just blowing through it, really. I do regret. I keep forgetting when it's Bedward to check it first. I looted Eblin first, which I wouldn't have done had I got the crystal, the treasury right away.
Yeah, I felt that in my soul. It's a play I've made before, and I mean, it's pretty unlikely that, in your defense, it's very unlikely that Earth Crystal is like the thing that's there, but just happened to be this case. I think it's very defensible to go to Eblin first.
Yeah, with an Avenger too, so.
Yeah.
I was happy with Eblin though. I was in and out within like 2 minutes and some change. As I skipped the left tower because there were 2 chests in it, and I had enough, I felt like, to get going.
Yeah, that's a great time for Eblin. Well, that's about it for me for questions. Do you have any others, Possum?
Not so much a question, just, as I love watching folks run this randomizer, I always enjoy popping in when you're doing ladder and, other asyncs and things like that. Always fun to just watch you race, and I look forward to being able to watch more of it, because I know you've been very active on the ladder this season, and the practice is definitely showing.
Absolutely.
Very consistent runs, and, you've put up a fight against a lot of really good players in the last tournament, and, even tonight as well, taking, that giant and getting through it just fine.
Yeah, I absolutely mirror those sentiments.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, it was fun. When I saw this group, I've been seeing them a lot, all these guys in ladder. And so I knew we were going to be putting up some competitive times, and it was a lot of fun. And maybe I'll see you guys in ladder as well some point.
Yeah,
thanks for commentary. Thanks for Charlotte and Edward. And I'm glad we're back to community races. It's fun.
And we're happy to put on a show, and we're so happy that you chose to be Restream. Thanks so much for putting on this great show. I look forward to watching you in the future. Bye now.
All right, later, guys.
Well, that was a race.
It sure was. There were holy swords and witchcraft and bad jokes. And lots of talk about the ladder, which is awesome. And lots of talk about the awesome people who were part of this, who are also awesome, which is our 4 runners, Fried Potato. And yes, that's a potato on the screen. Mike, Judge Joe, and Funnel Cakes. Make sure to give them all a follow.
Give everyone a follow. Give the team a follow. We're all pretty great. Possum, myself, Scala, Dubward, especially to Dubward, thank you for the tracking. Tracking 4 players is no easy feat. And one more bit about the ladder. If you liked what you saw, you too could race these flags and 3 other flag sets that are available on our ladder. It's a separate Discord. You can join. Everyone's welcome. New player friendly. There are a lot of people who are active that are pretty good at this game, but even if you end up against somebody that is a lot better than you early on, everyone's really great about giving advice about how you could do better. You always get to talk one-on-one with your opponent once you're both done. It's a great time. I highly recommend it. And it was really nice to hear the good things our runners, had to say about ladder. That was very nice.
Absolutely. And while it may not be the latter, we are not done with Free Enterprise tonight.
Nope.
This was a fantastic race, and there will be another one of these with the same flags on Friday at 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Pacific, and other times around the world. Sorry, those are the main ones I know. But yeah, we are off to go see our good friend Neobari, who is also running the community race that you just witnessed. So please, no spoilers, but let's go ahead and cheer Neobari on. Go Neobari, go! No spoilers, or you get the bonk.
Bye.